Welcome in, college football fans, to another episode of the Fan Addict on the Fan Addict Sports Network, man. Listen, we're here to talk another game preview, one of the bigger games for this upcoming week, man. Talking undefeated Oregon taking on undefeated Colorado in the Pac-12's week one opener. And it's going to be a doozy, man. Stat guy, how you feeling about it, dog?
Hey, man, what a way for the Pac-12 to go out. This is just going to be the first of many of an exciting year in the Pac-12.
That's right, man. So, hey, listen, and y'all know when I talk Oregon, I always got one of my Oregon guys to come on, and then we got something special for y'all today. We got a Colorado guy to come on as well. We're going to jump into this preview. Let's get into it.
The fanatic, where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk, you know what I'm saying, straight out of South Carolina, upstate, 864. Yeah, the FANATTIC, the fanatic, where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what.
All right, man. We back, man. We here for the preview. Oregon Ducks taking on Colorado. Let's go ahead and bring our guest in, man. First up, y'all already know who it is. When I talk Oregon, I always bring my guy in. Sports Chat 503. It's my guy, Ryan Winter. What's up, Ryan?
You know how it is in the West Coast, man. We're out here living life.
That's right, man. Y'all listen, man. Listen, us East Coast people, we're not used to these Pac-12 times, man. Y'all got to start playing at like 3:30 or something.
We're coming over your way next year. We'll get those early times in the future for y'all.
That's right, man. How you feeling about them Ducks this year, man? That offense is looking pretty good, man.
Yeah, feeling good. I mean, like we saw last year was a transition year, and you got to get the defense right. The defense is starting to look better and more athletic, at least, and offense is always doing their thing at Oregon. That's what they're known for. So it's gonna be awesome, man.
That's right, man. And we got a Colorado guy here, man. I met this guy this year. He's a lot of fun, man. Super hype, man. I like him a lot, man. He's got a big following, man. Let's go ahead and bring him in. It's David Talks Buffs. What's going on, David?
Coach, thank you so much for having me on. You know, the vibes, they are immaculate right now. 3-0, who would have thought? And going into conference play, and we're finally going to be able to see kind of where we stack up within the conference. So thank you guys for having me on. It's been a hell of a fun year so far.
No problem, man. I want you both to have a shot to tell people where they can find you. Go ahead, David. Tell people where they can find you, man.
David Talks Buffs everywhere. That's YouTube, that's Twitter, X, Spotify, Twitch. Be sure to hit that subscribe. We're building some momentum here on the way to world domination. So thank you for being with me.
I like it. And Ryan, tell them again, man, if they hadn't seen us before, tell them where they can find you, man.
Yeah, I don't even know what Twitch is, my man. So it's like I'm on YouTube. And it's probably they pirated me somewhere on some sort of North Korean website somewhere, probably I don't know about. But no, I don't even know how to work the podcast. I don't even know how to put something on an Apple. I know how to eat the apple. So you know what I'm saying? I mess around. I got the phone, I got the Mac I'm talking on right now. I got the iPads I'm watching. You know what it is, but yeah, no, I'm on just on YouTube. I'm just a regular guy. I'm in here doing that thing, but I really do appreciate David. I've been watching your channel as well. Do a great job, and I've been doing it for a long time now. It feels like in the YouTube verse, I've been at it for more than 10 years, and it feels good to see a lot of people at it doing things and talking about the stuff that we care about, which is college football, man. Let's get it in.
That's right, man. Listen, this is a good week of college football. I know there were some people that didn't really like, last weekend saying it was a draft weekend, but it turned out that all the so-called elite teams were not playing so good. So it made a lot of good games, man. And then the aftermath of staying up all night watching Colorado State, man. East Coast people are still tired right now. But David, I've been seeing you on Twitter today, man. You've been, or X, whatever we're calling it these days. You've been battling some people about the Buffs storming the field, man.
Oh man, I just think it's so funny, man. This fan base, we've been dormant for so long, and the more that you get at us for breaking these, so-called rules about storming the field, the more this fan base is going to do it, man. And I think if you got an issue with us behaving in a certain way in celebration, I think that means that you as a fan, you need to be celebrating more yourself.
Amen.
Because, you know, if
now.
you're upset with what's going on, you know, yeah, we didn't cover the spread like I was hoping for. We didn't win 69-0 like I was hoping for, but you got to enjoy the moment. You got to enjoy the game. We saw a great product yesterday, and of course we're going to storm the field. Absolutely. Heck, if we pull up the upset in Oregon, we might be jumping the fences into Folsom on Saturday. I mean, you just never know, but it's all good vibes here. And I think this whole thing is just reminding us, man, that, you know, college football has just got to be fun.
That's right, man. It's nothing better.
Before we get this, can we talk a little bit about rushing the court, rushing the field? This, I think, is a pretty good discussion. What's the unwritten rule on what game warrants the field to be rushed or not? To me, I've been a player, I've been a coach, I'm a teacher, I work with kids, I've been a season ticket holder. I think there's a couple categories. One, a late game that looks like it's out of reach that all of a sudden comes in your favor, like the 2 overtime game where you win it like that in crazy fashion, right? That should have been a blowout, but it's not. Now it's all of a sudden you got to fight for everything to get it. Okay. Right. The game that's a complete out of nowhere, right? David versus Goliath. That's always the one, right? No matter where you're at. But I also think like they put the hedges in Georgia, right? They probably did that probably because people was rushing the field. They couldn't release them if they could.
Listen, South Carolina in 2019, the small group of fans that was there, they rushed the field and was grabbing hedges and stuff, and it was just a regular season game. But they beat a top-ranked Georgia team, you know.
Now I'm a heavy basketball fan. I've been a basketball coach for years. Basketball, it feels like, is a little different animal. Rushing the court, it gets a little wild. You want to get your guys off the court. They're exposed. The people are right in their face. Weird stuff can happen on that level. And I support college kids having fun, but weird things happen. And as a coach, I want to get my guys off the floor. Let you guys party all you want, but I got to get my guys out of here. And in football, I feel like in the same fashion, a lot of dudes get right in these dudes' faces, and these dudes are 6'2" and 6'4" in cleats, shoulder pads, full of adrenaline. Weird stuff's going to go down if you let these. And especially in a situation like Colorado was, they were drinking all day. They had the game day in the morning. This shit was all day.
It was, man. It was. And listen, if somebody says it's an unwritten rule, let's say act like you've been there before. Well, guess what? Colorado hasn't been there before. They hadn't been 3-0. So listen, they hadn't been 3-0. And so next game, if they beat y'all, they hadn't been 4-0. If they win the next one, they hadn't been 5-0. So just use that excuse. Just say, hey, we haven't been there before. So we can just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying?
So for me to kind of play devil's advocate on that, I guess you stormed it against Colorado State, which is cool, but it should be kind of a special thing. I mean, now if your next big home win is against a ranked team, you probably storm again, and now it just looks like it's something you do. But again, I mean, like y'all said, y'all haven't been there before. That next win isn't guaranteed, so enjoy storming the field when you can. Enjoy the fact that you're not in the SEC and they're not in your back pocket or your wallet because you decided to storm the field. Missouri hitting that 61-yarder walk off against Kansas State is going to cost them a little bit of money.
Yeah, they charge you in the SEC.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Also, you know, we have a deal where you just wait 5 minutes at Autzen, everybody goes on the field. So it's like, you know, we have the open field, we always have. So kids growing up playing catch on the field and everything else. SEC, you can't walk on the grass. You can't touch that thing. It's like the French parks. So there's an added bonus there. But, you know, on the level, I was just kind of thinking off the top of my head, when was the last time, you know, in all my years of going to Autzen Stadium, I don't remember many where people are literally jumping over to rush the field. The only one I remember was the Washington game, where it was overtime win again on a rival, the Justin Herbert year, and that was a big game, ending thing, touchdown at the end, crowd goes wild, people burst onto the field, and that's about the only one I can really remember in my, like, you know, in the last 10 years or so. And that's a lot of good wins Oregon had, and it's a passionate fan base at Oregon too. It's not like it's not. It also, I heard, was the fan base. They did a report that smokes the most weed. Not surprising.
Hey, it's legal, so hey,
so maybe they aren't as amped to get on the field as the rest. They're just like, we'll wait the 5 minutes. It's fine.
It's fine, yeah. But you know, not for nothing, man. Since Colorado's been in the Pac-12, it's not like they've been in the top 3. You know, it's like they've been kind of at the bottom 3 the whole time. So right now is a different experience. I don't have a problem. I'm not a rush the field kind of guy. Georgia did it back in, I want to say, 2000 when we finally beat Tennessee at home after Peyton Manning drug us for so many years,
Right.
and then we hadn't done it since then. But different strokes for different folks, man.
Sure.
But you guys got to win in double overtime. Tell me what was going through your mind, man, because like we talked about kind of in the backstage, man, we thought CSU should have went for it on 4th and 2. We thought they should have went for the 2-point conversion in the first overtime. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think I think we do have CSU to credit for getting back into the ball game. Yeah, they decided to punt it. Wonderful punt there at the end of the game. But yeah, Shador Sanders putting the ball in the best quarterback in that game. He's been the best quarterback in the 3 matchups we had so far. And man, he, as a Colorado guy, he kind of channeled his inner, I know he said Brady time, but that looked very similar to John Elway's The Drive years and years ago. And just an electric atmosphere. Of course, kind of how I've seen it in the past is, yes, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, it's a rivalry, CSU's our little brother type of thing. And this was definitely probably the chippiest of those matchups that I've ever remembered. And, so especially with Travis getting hurt, it really meant a lot to come back and get that win. And I think, again, a lot of people have been right with this. We've had our best players kind of play as our best players. There's also been parts of this team that have been a work in progress. Like, it's kind of been a both and thing. And I've been so impressed with our team's resilience because I think it would have been really easy to check out of that after we kind of got knocked off guard in the first half with everything we had go on this weekend. That's for sure.
That's for real. That's for real, man. Oregon came swinging out of the gates 81-0, and I was like, Dan Lanning, take it easy on Portland State. Jesus Christ. And then you guys went to Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech, actually in the offseason, I said they was a sleeper in the Big 12, and y'all come from behind to beat them. And then you lay the wood on another poor soul this past weekend, man. So how you feeling, Ryan? Oregon, second year Dan Lanning, man.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I think the whole thing is when you hire a coach who's got a defensive pedigree at a school that's known for its offense, you expect some defense out of the gate. And they had some troubles last year. It wasn't the defense we thought it was going to be, but the offense was great last year. And having Bo Nix transfer over, everybody thought it was, from you guys' perspective, especially in the South, thought, well, you're going to get a bunch of bad Bo and not as much good Bo. Turned out we got a lot of good Bo and not much bad Bo last year. And I do think that as he gets closer to the NFL or gets closer to the end of his college career, whatever that is, he's become a better pocket passer and he's become better, more of a complete quarterback. And to be able to read the defenses first and foremost, he's seen a lot of snaps. I think he's setting records now because of the COVID thing that he's probably got more snaps than anybody or more starts than anybody or anything because he has that extra year. I mean, no one has started since he was a freshman and gets an extra year. Yeah. And the guy's just seen a lot of football and you can't put a value on that. So he's just a great, leader on that level. Then now he's got his little brother, adopted brother, Tez on the team, who's a really great wide receiver. He got great speed, just like a man, just like he's like a flex guy. If you were to put him on fantasy, like he can do some things. And so I do think that they hit the transfer portal really hard last year, and they upgraded what they needed this year, and they look really good. I think they filled some holes on defense with some guys. They filled some holes on offense with guys, and they're also starting to get, instead of guys transfer up from like a Fresno State, they're starting to now get guys transfer over from Ole Miss or over from Alabama. Guys who've been around at other programs, and it's more of a lateral move or. For them, it's still an upgrade because they're going to get more playing time. They become the man or whatever. But, like last year we saw Christian Gonzalez transfer over and become a first-round pick, got an interception tonight for the Patriots. And then this year we had a guy named Nico Reed come over. And, these guys transfer over now, inter-district, inter-conference, start on one team one year, start on the other team the next year. I mean, transfer portal is wild. So, they've filled a lot of their needs, and I feel like on paper, they're feeling really good about themselves, and they're deep, which I think is also a different thing about what's going on with Prime this year. Give Prime one more year there. Let him fill the cabinet up a little bit more. There's going to be some more room in the cupboard a little bit. But, right now with that amount of transfers that came in and out for the Buffs, it's just you can't be that deep right now. It's just that it's hard to say you could be.
Yeah, I think the front seven on defense, and we'll get into that right now, talking about the Oregon offense versus the Colorado defense. If you watch the TCU game, I think the only reason why TCU was able to move the ball in the second half was because some of those starters were getting tired in the front seven because they held them in check pretty much in that first half. And to that point that Ryan just made, Stat Guy, what question do you have for either of our guys about that Oregon offense and the Colorado defense?
Yeah, no, for the question I guess for Ryan is, do you now you're in the spotlight, big time game. And again, I mean, no offense, but being a Southeast guy, we see Bo Nix likes to phone it in sometimes in the big games. Is there any concern that you could see an old Bo, or do you think that's long gone?
Yeah, I mean, everybody grows up, in their time. And I think that, Bo Nix is going to go down as a really good college quarterback. These 2 years at Oregon has kind of saved his career in the national perspective a little bit. He came in real hot. Obviously, we know he played his first game against him when he come back and got that last, second win. Only we're ahead for like 7 seconds of that kickoff game between Oregon and Auburn. His rookie or his freshman year, which seems like a long time ago because we've dealt with COVID and everything in the middle of that. But it is one of those things where, that's always in the back of your mind for sure. But I think Oregon wants the spotlight. I think Oregon's used to the spotlight. I think Oregon sees this game as just as much of the spotlight's on them as it is on Colorado from our perspective.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think Oregon sees themselves as part of the upper echelon of this conference. And we love to see Colorado come up out of the gutter because it helps everybody. The fact that right now we have 8 teams in the top 25 is mind-blowing. I mean, we have 3 teams in the top 10.
The irony, the last year that the Pac-12
well,
is
that's
like
just
it
how
is.
the national media wants it. They're going to finally give us some cookies as they take away our real food.
That's
so
right.
The
That's
idea
right.
is that I just think that, at the end of the day, I think Oregon is really prime for this. I think it's going to be a beautiful day. Our stadium is great. We've got a great atmosphere. We're going to rock this place. And I think the more hype that comes around it, the better. And I don't think that Oregon is a team that's used to people thinking that they're going to be, an underdog at home. I think Oregon has a lot coming with a home court advantage. I think Autzen Stadium and Rice-Eccles both, I think, are seriously tough places to play. And I think Folsom's a great place to play too. Great environment. I mean, I went there last year when that team won 1 game and they still brought the house. There were tons of people out there. It was fantastic. The Coors was flowing. It's a great environment. But there's something different about Oregon. Oregon is kind of the little ugly duckling for years and years. And then we're the young money group. We're that new money group. We started to kind of just spend it on whatever we wanted to. That pissed other people off. And so there's people who like us. There's people who don't like us. But I don't think Oregon's worried in the least bit about a big-time game. I think we love it. We want more of it. I think this is going to be the game that most people watch because week 2, everybody's watching that Texas-Alabama game, especially when Texas started to run up on them because everybody clicked over to that game. It was on at the exact same time. So nobody's watching Texas Tech, especially when Texas Tech loses to Wyoming the week before. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
so we were rooting for, trust me, we were rooting for Buffaloes yesterday. Big time. We did not
because
want
it
us
makes
to
a
lose
better
to
game.
CSU before they played us. Hell no.
Yeah, it makes for a better game. Like you said, it does good for the Pac-12. But you're right. A lot of people didn't watch that Texas Tech game, but I actually watched some of it. You know me, I'm a junkie.
Yeah, of course.
So
the real heads did because they wanted to see it because it was a good game out of that whole week. Like you said, the first 3 weeks, there weren't that many quality games.
No.
So that was one of them. Potential top 25 matchup. Had they won the first week, it probably would have been a top 25 matchup. Exactly. They were like the second one out or whatever that first week.
And so I actually preparing for this, I went back and watched it again. So I do have a couple of questions. First, I want to give some kudos to the skill players you guys got. I mean, Bucky Irvin, Noah Whittington, Jordan James. That's one of the best, I would say, running back rooms, definitely in the Pac-12, if not, formidable in the nation. And then you got Troy Franklin.
Those guys are transfers.
Listen, Jordan, exactly. Y'all got Jordan James, but Noah Whittington and Bucky Irvin both transfers. So, Troy Franklin, 6'3", got speed. He had close to 1,000 yards last year. That dude's crazy good. Trayshawn Holden, another one of those transfers from Bama. And then you talked about Tez Johnson. This dude has a reception in 36 straight games. He transferred over from Troy, man. So those guys, Terrence Ferguson, don't let me forget him. He was a top 10 red zone pass catcher last year. So y'all got all the
Colorado
guys on
the outside. Colorado guy too, by the way.
So, but the thing that I saw in the Texas Tech game that I want to ask you about. So Bo does look better. He has more starts, like we said, than anybody in D1 currently, regardless of what team you play for. But sometimes it feels like he feels pressure that's not there. Your offensive line has actually been playing good. And there was a time against Texas Tech, like Texas Tech only rushed 3. It was 3rd and 5. They rushed 3. They dropped 8. And it was, I want to say it was like 3rd and 5 in the second quarter. And he rushed the throw. And like sometimes you see that with Bo. Do you worry about that? Because I don't think Colorado blitzes a lot, to be honest with you, because I think they trust their secondary because they do have really good secondary.
Yeah, no, I think so. The first thing you said is talk about the skill guys, and I watched the game last night, the Colorado State game, thinking, what would Oregon do in this situation? How would Oregon play this? How would Oregon play that? And I actually was motivated quite a bit, to be honest. I'm not trying to like talk any junk or whatever because I come at it real respectfully, but I saw them run the ball against Colorado pretty well, and I think Oregon can run that same way. I think Oregon's offensive line is pretty stout, and the running game is really good. You got to give some shouts out to Coach Laughlin, Carlos Laughlin, coming from Western Kentucky. His story is fantastic. He's really molded this running back room. Now they all kind of look the same. Historically, you'd have the running back. The running back room always had the little guy and the big guy, or Thunder and Lightning, or whatever you. Now it's like they all look the same. They're all about 206, 208, 209, whatever. All about 5'10". All can run the ball. All can catch the ball at the backfield. I mean, Noah had a great catch on the sideline, like a wide receiver, turn, catch, both feet inbound on the last game against Hawaii. So, no matter who you're playing against, you still got to make those plays. And I think that they're very versatile out of the backfield. I just think that the skill guys right now are really good. And I think that just helps Bo. Because, again, what helps a quarterback more than the running game, right? And then you have the passing game to go with it. And then you have some athletic dudes also at tight end. So another tight end transfer, Casey Kelly, he came from Ole Miss too. So you've got some guys in there. I think this year it's going to be a good game, man. I love what Colorado has done. I love the play calling Colorado, especially that 2-point conversion. They really needed it. I absolutely love that play call where they had the bunch formation. Looked like they were going to run it. Looked like it was going to be a power play. They sneaked the tight end in the backfield. Tight end was wide open in the end zone. I don't know if you guys was watching that last part of that game. That game was wild at the end. But what Oregon has always had is Oregon's always had a good offense. My dad always says it. My dad's a bit of a simpleton. He always says, hey, man, when the Ducks have a good defense, watch out. And any of the years where they've been really good, like elite level good, they've had the good defense, right? The early Joey Harrington era, they had the best defense because they had the most guys go to the NFL out of that defense than anybody, right? Then they had the defense where all the defensive backs went to the NFL, right? Patrick Chung, Jarris Bird, all those guys, right? TJ Ward, all those guys that played 10, 15, almost 15 years in the pros, studs, DBs, right? I mean, they were all playing together in the same backfield, right? That's crazy. And that was kind of that beginning of the Chip Kelly era, right? Yeah. And then you had the Marcus Mariota run where they had DeForest Buckner and they had Eric Armstead on the same defensive line. I mean, their two defensive linemen are both now getting paid probably more than anybody else on their own defensive line or their own teams, right? In the NFL, holding down the line. So anytime the defense for the Ducks has been right by any other national standards, they've been good. They've been one of the best because their offense historically is always good. The only year the offense wasn't good was the year that Justin Herbert was a freshman, and that was the year that they lost the whole thing, and the coach got fired, and the whole thing went down. And and that year they still won 4 games. Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about, historically, Oregon can put it on you. It's just about whether they can stop you. That's why I think, whenever we talked about that Texas Tech game, it just felt like a classic Big 12 game. It just felt like, no defenses were staying at home. Offenses were going to go to work, just going to throw on each other. And whoever had the ball last was going to win. Good old time in the desert. And that's exactly what kind of broke out. And it felt like something very similar happened to the Buffs last night where it was like, hey, man, all of a sudden we're in this game. We should be blowing this team out. Nope, you're in this game. Now what are you going to do? Now you got your main guy hurt. Now you got to fight through it. And I think you learn more about your team in that situation than you ever do in any of the other situations. So obviously the Ducks do what they needed to do is playing 7-on-7 in week 1, week 3, but they had to get that win at Texas Tech. They did it. Buffs had to get that win. And I actually think that Colorado State probably played Colorado better than Nebraska for sure, and almost better than TCU. TCU at times looked they were a roller coaster against y'all. There was times where it felt like they were going to win the whole thing, like they were going to blow you guys out by 20, and then it was like, wait a minute, now they That game was wild. And I bet if you played that game 10 times in a row, you probably have, it's 50, 60% win total. I bet they win a couple of them. You guys win a couple.
Yep.
So, and that's what's great about college football is that's why we love it so much.
That's right. So, David, on the defensive side for Colorado, what do you want to see this weekend versus that Oregon offense that, like we talked about, man, Oregon's always had an offense, definitely dating back to Chip Kelly. And crazy enough, with Dan Lanning being the defensive guy, that's the one thing they haven't had to worry about is the offense.
Yeah. Oregon provides a very good challenge for this defense because how Ryan kind of laid things out. Oregon's strengths on offense definitely match up right now with where we're struggling on defense, particularly within the run. The read option when you have a guy like Bo Nix that's able to run the ball. The Buffs throughout these 3 games, they have struggled defending the run. Now, they did a pretty good job with Jeff Sims outside of his long touchdown run. But again, we're still looking for that consistency. And with Jeff Sims, didn't really provide the threat of an aerial attack the way that Bo Nix does. So, we definitely have our work cut out for us on defense. We saw, last night, kind of a lack of adjustment for the most part on adjusting to defending these shallow crossers. And, Oregon definitely has the speed to play the quick pass game, throw those crossers and then allow their guys to run. So maybe we throw a little bit more zone out there. Maybe we dial up some pressures. I do feel like our defense has right now kind of played a little bit more vanilla right now throughout our non-conference schedule. Maybe we have some different pressures lined up for coming in conference play. But, to the flip side, Oregon's probably holding some stuff back too. So I will say the one thing about this defense is that, it's been definitely a very, bend but don't break defense. They've had to get stops when they've needed to.
Yeah.
I think if we are going to provide Oregon a challenge or keep us in the game defensively, the one positive that you can take from this defense so far is that they've generated a ton of turnovers.
Big time.
And so if they can get a little bit of pressure, if they can, get Bo Nix to make some mistakes, then I think we have a chance. But of course, if you take care of the football, if Oregon takes care of the football, they are going to definitely have the advantage in getting the win this Saturday. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity to see guys step up. We've especially on the defensive end, we've had some guys that I think could have played this past week, but were held out because it was Colorado State. So we got some guys like Miles Slusher that should be back, Brandon Gant, Travis J, Florida State transfers that we're definitely going to need back in there with Travis Hunter out. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I'm hoping to just see some improvement, from our defense, defending some of these plays.
Yeah, man. And with Travis Hunter out, I definitely wish he could have played because this is a great time to really see that talent on display against that wide receiver core for Oregon. I mean, that just puts a little bit more pressure on Shiloh, who has actually been super. I know Shador's getting all the press, but look, man, Shiloh's been balling out. He's been holding it down as the leader of that secondary. And don't sleep on Trevor Woods. Trevor Woods is definitely a ball hawk. So I'm interested to see what y'all do now that y'all don't depth-wise, now that you don't have, Travis Hunter. So, but on the flip side of that, man, Oregon's going to have to defend you guys too. I think this game, both teams are going to score. I don't know how many yet, but I think both teams are going to score, and it's going to come down to who can get the stop when they need to get the stop. So, David, what on offense you want to see against this Oregon defense? Like we said, Dan Lanning is a, defensive guy, but what do you want to try to take advantage of going against that Oregon defense?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think in order to win this game, if CU wins, it's going to be in a shootout. That's kind of how I see it. So it was great to see our starting walk-on tight end Mikey Harrison get some action in the offense in the second half yesterday. And so, I think he provides an interesting new element to this offense that we haven't seen in Sean Lewis offense in the past, utilizing a tight end like this. One thing that I would like to change a little bit on offense is that what defenses have been doing a lot lately against Shador has been kind of rushing 3 or 4, dropping back everybody else. And sometimes, Dylan Edwards coming out of the backfield, he's not that, second or third read. Maybe we look to him kind of running routes out of the backfield a little bit more, or Alt McCaskill. We should see him this week. We've held him out of non-conference play as a precautionary, but he was AAC Freshman Player of the Year in just a couple years ago for Houston. And, I think he will kind of assume that starting running back role this weekend. So that's going to be a different look that we haven't been able to show yet. But I think the main thing for Shador is to continue to take, the easy throws, what's given to him. That's why he had so much success against TCU, getting the ball out of his hand early. And, that can open up some things down the field, if you're working that short passing game. But I think the last 2 games, we've kind of come out calling a lot of plays that take a little bit more time to develop. And it's been tough for us to get into a rhythm, quickly. So that's what I'm hoping for, that we adjust this time, is that we kind of come out, get some easy things going, some short passes that aren't screenplays, and get the offense in rhythm. But I think if we're able to do that, we should provide some stress on this defense. But it's going to be the best challenge we've had yet, I think, so far throughout the schedule. With Nebraska, they got a good defense. They got some big boys up there. But, they were on the field a lot. And
the 3 and outs
Oregon,
were crazy.
they should sustain drives much longer than Nebraska did.
Yeah, they run an odd front at Nebraska, just like Dan Lanning likes odd fronts. Dan Lanning likes to put pressure on with their linebackers. But I guess what I've been waiting on with Colorado is to see if you guys can do more in the run game. And maybe it needs to be Shador. If they're dropping 8, maybe it needs, and they're in man coverage, because he definitely likes a little bit more man than normal. But maybe it's him. Maybe it's him taking that 5 or 6 yards. But I got to have a question. What's been going on with Cavassier Smoke, man? Like, here in the SEC, like, big time respect for Smoke when he was at Kentucky. And I feel like if he was 100% healthy, he could help out in that run game.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure. We've kind of seen Anthony Hankerson right now as that spell back to Dylan Edwards, and I haven't been able to get any specific answers on why we haven't seen him more. I'm hoping that Alton kind of provides a little bit more of that power style. And I think having our starting center back, Van Wells, will provide a big difference next week. But you might see a guard position swapped out. We had Jack Wiltie starting at right guard against TCU, and he was responsible for helping open up some of those really big plays for Dylan Edwards against TCU. Landon Beebe replaced him against Nebraska. But I'm wondering, with the play of our right guard right now, Jack Bailey, transfer over from Kent State, if we might slide Bailey or Wiltie or Beebe over in that spot if Van Wells returns. I think we need a little bit different of a look, a little bit more size, in the interior line.
I got you. Ryan, on that Oregon front, man, the defense, again, going back to the Texas Tech game, because I can't really use I want to really use the other 2 games, you know what I'm saying? Right. You guys faced the up-tempo offense in Texas Tech, so you're used to, kind of what you're going to see similar to Colorado. When you did want to get pressure, Dan Lanning sent some linebackers, you got pressure, but you didn't get a lot of pressure when it was just 3 to 4 rushes. What would you like to see to try to slow down Shador, because he's been one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the nation?
100%. And I don't know if there's a real blueprint on how to stop him. If I was a defensive coach, of course you always want to pressure the quarterback, but I tend to think he does some of his best stuff when pressured. So now what? Now what? I mean, and I played defensive end when I played, and contain is great until the guy doesn't run your way and he goes on the inside and breaks it for a 40-yard gainer, and you're just standing there because you got to hold your edge, right? So it's an interesting one. Coach talk, you go into a game, and if you're playing two football teams that know what they're doing and do the right thing, you pretty much know what you're going to get. But when a team breaks out playground ball, all bets are off, and they're the better playground ball team. So when they get off script and they start wheeling and dealing and they get behind the corners or get in the soft spot of the zone, and that's when weird stuff can happen. That's where what looks like a possible sack turns into a 40-yard gainer. And those are the momentum plays that are just absolutely backbreaking, especially if they happen on like a third down when your whole offense or your whole fan base and everything else is all against you. And, they just break the back of that. There's a lot of things I think about this offense is really good. I wish they run the ball better.
Yeah.
And I think that's a weakness of theirs. But they throw out of the backfield so damn well. They do it. It's an extension of their running game. So they don't need to run between the tackles. They're getting their guys out in space and letting them create. So I think the defense this week is going to have their hands full. That you're going to have to put pressure on. And I do think that this offense, when you put pressure on in the right way, actually folds like quickly. Like there's no option. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, extend the play, chase you down from the back. There's no options. It's nothing changed. You have to get to like that secondary part of the play. That's the danger zone. So if you can put pressure on them and be able to actually really put pressure on them in the first part of that play, then it's great. Send the house. Yeah. But you better have somebody in the backfield ready to go. Not only guard somebody,
some guys.
chase somebody down once they got the ball wide open. Because historically, I don't know if you guys have watched much Oregon football, but we like to leave guys like wide open. There are sometimes when you're watching a road game, because I go to most games. So when I'm watching a game on the road, you don't even see a player in the frame. They zoom in on and I'm like, where's the defense? Anyone in the opposing uniform, please. So this is a game that scares the hell out of me because the way that they run their offense, they have a lot of different versatile things. And like I said, when you jumped off there for a second, David, it's like that 2-point conversion. I love that play where they bunched everybody up like it was a run play, deked everybody in, and then threw to the tight end right over the top, wide open.
Yep.
This team knows how to play and knows how to create plays, knows how to call the right plays, knows how to complete the plays, knows how to, it's just about whether or not the defense is going to be in the way at any way, shape, or form. And I just hope to God the Oregon defense shows up, because if they don't, we could be in for a long day. And I still think the Ducks have the better shot of winning, like we were saying. I mean, I just looked at ESPN. ESPN says this game Oregon has a 90% chance of winning.
I think the early line has come out, and the early line says y'all are 19-point favorites.
Yep.
Okay. So speaking to
that, give me a key to the game, Ryan, and a prediction.
Because the key
19
to the game,
and a half. 19
right.
and a half.
So 19 and a half means that they aren't scoring as much as you're scoring. That's a big difference. 19 and a half means your defense showed up.
That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. And that means, so if Oregon scores, on most of their possessions, you're going to have to stop Colorado on half of their possessions to be able to get that sort of a win total. I don't see that happening. I do think Oregon wins, but I would not be surprised at all if it's anywhere between like a 3 and 10 point spread of the end. But I'm looking at it right now. It says 93% Oregon's going to win this thing. That should be for like Cal.
Exactly.
That's disrespectful.
Well, I think some of
They're
that
making it personal.
That's definitely making it personal. Listen, I think ESPN is putting a lot on Travis Hunter not playing, but I think Colorado's offense still had, like, be honest, Travis Hunter didn't do, he did, like the first game he went off on offense, both sides. The second game he had like 3 or 4 catches. They were important catches, but it was Weaver that got off, and Weaver's still there. You still got Jimmy Horn Jr., you know, and you got Dylan Edwards coming out of the backfield, like you talked about McCaskill. So that's a lot of people for a 19.5 point, you know, God, that was a lot. So it's like, man, that's a lot of points. It shocked me. I thought it was going to be more in the 13 to 14 range, to be honest with you.
But like I was saying, Dylan Edwards, he's got to be like your fourth or fifth best receiver on the team in stats because he's getting the ball at the backfield constantly.
Yeah. For sure. So
that's
David,
that's gonna be a tough assignment for the Ducks. It really is. I do think the Ducks this year are better suited for that than they were last year in that Georgia game. Last year in that Georgia game, they were much slower at the linebacker position. You know, everybody was loving those two linebackers because those were big, heavy guys coming out of high school. That was Justin Flo and Noah Sewell, and all of a sudden they couldn't cover.
They couldn't go
both the starting linebackers are former safeties at Oregon now, so they're moving people up.
Well, that's
they
actually
they need speed.
That you're right. You got to have speed on defense, especially against this Colorado offense. So, David, give me a one key to the game to a Colorado victory, and then give me a prediction.
All right. Oh man. Okay. Well, let's see. One key to the game. If Dylan Edwards is able to have a big time receiving game out of the backfield, I mean that's going to put us on the way to victory. It's going to open up everything else. You know, I want to speak on Travis Hunter real quick. Much bigger loss, I think, right now for the defense than the offense. I think the offense with the wide receiver group, that's probably definitely our deepest group right now when you factor in health. So, and then, with the prediction, I'll go back to what I was predicting about a month ago. Ryan, I predicted this team to go 8-4. So things are kind of we're on track right now, but
big facts.
We'll just have to see. But Oregon was one of those games that I did not have us winning. I think it's going to be a very difficult game on the road for us. I do think we cover the spread, and I think even though CU was a slight favorite from Vegas, I think we know through these first three games that this team does perform better when they are feeling the most doubted. So I do think that I do expect us to play better than how we played this past week. That's for sure.
I agree.
I got you. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I completely agree that Dylan Edwards, I think, is the key to the game. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be. He's in any game he plays in, he's going to be the guy people are going to focus on the most because he's the quarterback. But I do think he has been the best quarterback every week that he's played so far. I just happen to think that Bo Nix is probably more experienced, and I think that experience is going to equal out that thing. I might think Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than Bo Nix, but I think that Bo Nix has got so much experience. He knows what he's doing. He's been in this system a little bit. He feels like a coach on the field. I would lean him, and at home, I would lean him a little bit in the system. But you know what? Going into the NFL, I think Shedeur is going to be a hell of a player. This modern day NFL, break the pocket, and things can happen. It's just about hitting those tight windows. And but no, I think that Dylan Edwards, if he runs the ball well, then that's really telling because that's going to mean that they are controlling the clock. They are confident about their offense and they're getting what they need to get through the passing game, that they can start to run the ball. That's a bad sign for the Ducks. So, you know, for the Ducks, you know, our secret of success, score first, score early, score often, make them chase, make them throw the ball, make them make some mistakes, put the ball in the air, maybe get an interception or two. But you know they could easily turn the ball over just as much as Oregon could. I think like you said, I think the defensive liability a little bit with Hunter being out is big. He's a guy who could basically get an interception or two a game. Yeah, I mean he is a major game changer.
Lock down a whole side of the field.
Lock down a whole side of the thing and have the confidence. I mean to go after it. And so I really think that hurts them. And I do think that takes some shine off of this game because the way that this goes in with them being so star driven with all the eyeballs on them, this being one of their stars. I mean, that's tough because like I said, I don't think Oregon is fearful at all about these matchups. They want the best teams. They want the best matchups. They want a fully healthy lineup. They don't want any excuses from the other side. They don't want any of that sort of stuff. And, coming off of last year's game that was literally an embarrassment. I mean, that last year's Colorado team was one of the worst football teams I'd seen in years. Oregon
Yeah.
scored with an offensive lineman, a defensive linebacker, and a quarterback that caught the ball like a receiver. So
Yeah.
they were like making stuff up. They were just like, all right, you're going to go left and right. So for the fact that they could come in and flip that thing in one spring is remarkable. And it does, to me, think that's the future of college football. You're going to have guys come in with their guys, and they're going to bring in, the people who they want. I mean, give an example. We had a coach, our running back coach, we talked about earlier, Coach Laughlin. He brought in the running back, Noah Whittington. Noah yesterday looked like the guy. I mean, he can block, he can run, he can take. These guys play special teams, make tackles too. So these guys are all around players, and I do think that the key to the game is the running back. I still, after all of these years, think the running back is still the most important position in all of college football and all of football anyway. I'm old school, coach.
If you can't run, you can't score.
I'm old school, right? And I'm an offensive lineman at heart.
Even if it's the run game is the passing out of the backfield, it has to be some form of it. You know what I'm saying?
And you see with these passing offenses, when they have a running game, they can't be stopped.
Big facts.
So, and I really think that this game is going to be, Shedeur is going to do his thing, 350 plus in the air, moving the ball around. Hopefully not many TDs from my perspective, but it seems like they're going to move the ball at will. And it's just about whether Dylan Edwards, if he gets 100 yards on the ground, we're in real trouble. And I think for Oregon needs to, like I said, score early and often, spread the ball around to get a lot of guys the ball, get a lot of guys different touches. Hopefully you get a running back to get a touchdown. Both running backs get a touchdown, multiple wide receivers, that sort of thing. I do think this final score is going to be somewhere in the 40s. Maybe it's a 45-38 sort of situation.
I got you. I like it, man. I think from Colorado's perspective, I actually think if Shedeur in some of those situations where Oregon drops 7 or 8 actually runs for the first down or runs for positive yard, I like his mentality. He likes to extend the play and make a play, but sometimes that can't. They did get him in trouble a couple times against CSU where he was trying to make a play instead of actually being decisive and actually go ahead and running for the yardage. Right now, from Oregon's perspective, can they jump out on Colorado early? And like you said, Ryan, early and often, because TCU wasn't able to do it. Nebraska definitely wasn't able to do it. CSU did it, but they couldn't hold form the rest of the game. But they're not as deep as an Oregon team. I got this in the shootout. I do think Oregon wins one. I think both teams are going to score, like you said, plus 30. And I like that, like 42-38, 45-38, something like that. I think it's going to be an amazing game, man. So, hey, I just want to thank both of you guys for coming on here, man, and talking. This is one of the bigger games of the weekend. Go ahead, Ryan.
I appreciate you, Coach. You know how it is, man. We broke bread together. We've munched our wings together and whatnot. No, I think this is a situation where both these brands are going to be benefited from this game. There's a huge game next week for Colorado at USC. This game is going to set the table for that one. If Colorado wins, you think the hype is real for this game?
Listen, if Colorado wins, I'm telling you, game day will be back.
Hey, game day, big noon, and 60 minutes were there.
Yes.
They're going to bring back Maury Povich to cover the next one. They're going to bring back Phil Donahue. I'm telling you. PBS NewsHour will be there. I mean, the whole damn thing, BBC,
everybody.
So, but either way, I think that if Colorado loses these two games back-to-back weeks, I still don't think you lose any shine off of the rest of the year. Like you said, 8-4, you've got the whole rest of the season in front of you. I think the Utah game looms very large for you guys. I think Utah continually gets better as the season goes on every year. Cal Whittingham does it every year. We know we've had our ass kicked by them late in the year. We know how that feels. But for that game, for you guys, that could be a really tough one. And then I don't know what you guys play at Washington as well.
Washington State.
Washington State. No. The game for you guys is going to be the other tough one for you guys is going to be Oregon State.
Oregon State. That is the one home game I have us. The
Beavers are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The Beavers are going to be. They're legit. And
for real. Hey, listen, man, the Pac-12 with the great quarterback play this year. I said it in one of my previews before the season started. I said, I know y'all don't want to hear this, but the Pac-12 is going to be the most competitive conference in college football because of that quarterback play. You got 6 or 7 teams that got like superstar quarterbacks, and no other conference has that, and it's been showing up here in the early goings.
Not only that, but you have guys who, when they've come out here, they've excelled and they've gone through the roof. Caleb Williams, come on now, he wins the Heisman Trophy. Michael Penix
Jr.
What was he at Indiana?
Heisman winner this year.
Are you kidding me? And right now he's the Heisman, one of the Heisman front runner. DJU is going to have a huge year this year. I just tagged with him. I was talking with him on the field at the game. He came to the Ducks game to watch his brother on the field. I've become buddies with his dad. So I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Great dude. But I'm telling you, he's the truth. Bo Nix.
Yep.
Bo's not going out. Dude, we put these up. This was out of the New York Times. You know what I'm saying? We're in Oregon. We're about as remote as you can get out here. It's like us, fish, seals. Anyway, so we're out here. So the fact that we got
coming up from HBCU,
dude, you got Shador, who's on the top of people's Heisman list. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And then you've got the freshman,
Jaden Rashada, and Jaden
Rashada.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, Dante Moore is.
He liked that. I wanted him in Athens.
Oh, we wanted him so good, dude. Oh, that was a blow when we didn't get him. I'm telling you. But my point being is that all of these schools and Cam Ward at Washington State. I mean, the list just keeps going on and on and on and on, except for obviously the teams that are at the way bottom. But this could be a very, very special year for the Pac-12. So you may as well embrace it. It's the last one.
Go out with a bang.
Let it go into the memory books in a positive note.
That's right, man. Before we get out of here, I want both of y'all to tell the people where they can find you. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, again, you can find me at David Talks Buffs on all platforms. And would appreciate you checking in. You can also send me an email at davidtalksbuffs@gmail.com. Sometimes I get, all sorts of biographies, testimonials of, your fanhood and everything like that. Just send it right over, man. It's a nice afternoon read.
That's right, man. Ryan, tell the people where they can get at you, man.
Oh, I love that so much. David, man, you knocked it out of the park tonight. It was awesome. Just sports chat 503. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm just a regular dude. But I will try every year. I'm like, I'm going to put it on the Spotify or whatever. I've been doing this thing so long that I don't even know what it's called anymore. I remember people called it a vlog. Yeah, remember that one? I don't even know, and I still don't know if it's a podcast or not, but it is what it is. I love doing it, Coach. I got a lot of respect for you, a lot of love, David. Like I said, love to have you on. I'm on live 5:30 Pacific Coast time on Tuesdays throughout the whole season. So if anytime you guys want to jump in, I do like 2 hours, sit back, have some beers, and kick back. So if you guys are interested anytime, love to have you on that.
That's right, man. We got to schedule something special. I do my Georgia thing on Tuesday at the same time. So me and you got to get up, man.
Anytime.
I want to do that. That Oregon State game, I definitely want to get at you about that one, man, because that's going to be
and the USC one. USC one.
Big facts, man. Hey, man, we like to thank our guests for coming on today, man. David Talks Buffs, Colorado guy, and my guy Ryan Winter, man. Sports Chat 503. Get at him, man. Subscribe. Spotify, all of that, man. Send him an email and get David your testimonial about your Colorado fanhood and how you just jumped on board when Prime got there. But for both of my guests and the stat guy, man, it's Coach out of Fan Addict, man. We out of here.
Come rock with me. We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound. Let's go eat. Turn on the Fan Addict. Let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off their plate?